Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings on a Friday morning. And we're welcoming in Shuwaski Young with the Miami Vice theme. I'm not sure what that means, Shuwaski. You'll have to check with Lance later, but that's your theme song this morning. How you doing today?
Hey, man, Lance is a great guy. I'll trust him on the music. Dave, I'm doing really good this morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to Mississippi. And I hope you all are getting ready for a great Christmas holiday.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to
I think
interject.
we need one.
I'm interjecting here just so we are clear.
No.
It's because that's how cool he is, man. He's
Oh,
Miami
okay.
Vice cool.
Which immediately raises the question in my mind, is he wearing socks? But we're not going to check on that because, Don Johnson never wore socks. Neither Crockett nor Tubbs. They had the fancy suits and everything. Boy, we've gotten way off topic already. Thanks for that, Lance. We appreciate it. I was reading your op-ed that you wrote that was in the Clarion Ledger about probably,
Yes.
I think, a very controversial figure in politics. I think that's fairly safe to say. Dick Cheney, who just passed away,
I agree.
long distinguished political career. And I want to give you a second. I've got a question, but I want to give you a second to just talk about it for a minute. What you talked about. You said Dick Cheney was really kind of an inspiration for you.
Right. Well, I grew up in Noxapater, Mississippi, and also Stello. And my dad, worked for the federal government, USDA, and my grandfather was a World War II vet. And I started out in public service at Secretary of State's office and worked under a great guy called Larry McMillan, who was a retired major and Army Ranger. And I had some great mentors and great folks who were public servants as inspirational and veterans to me my entire life. And so, the Bush and Cheney administration, was one of which that first introduced me into a lot of the politics of Reaganism early on in my life. And Dick Cheney was someone who I really, thought was a great public servant, a patriot, someone who was well prepared, someone who was known for their steadfastness in government, and someone who also had a lot of personal life challenges that required a lot of humility, which what we need in public service. So when he passed away, I was saddened by that, and just thought that I would write about it and talk about why I thought that that particular time in history, his particular life and example, was something that I wanted to remember and be reminded of as to why I became a Republican and why those policies of impersonal belief systems brought me to where I am today, amongst other folks
Well,
as well.
and it leads right into a question we were having earlier, and we're going to apply it to former Vice President Dick Cheney here. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible to be an effective leader without upsetting somebody?
No, I do not. No, I do not. I think if you're going to be an effective leader and lead with conscience and lead with competence and lead with preparedness and seriousness, there are going to be some people in the room that are going to disagree with you. There are going to be some people in the echo chamber that are going to disagree with you. And, I think that's a very good thing. One of the things I pride myself on, one of the things I think that a lot of effective leaders pride themselves on is putting people in the room who are smarter than they are, who offset their particular weaknesses with their particular strengths. So you want people in the room to question what your uh, decisions are and how you actually arrive at those particular decisions. And you want to be able to entertain, all voices of opposition. So, of course, I think in doing so, you're going to upset some people sometimes.
Well, and I personally, from the outside looking in, and as you know, I keep up with all of the news and politics every day. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
this era of what I call this era of absolutism that we have, where you're all 100% in this direction, never looking at anything else, and you're a traitor if you do. Uh, is that really helpful? Because back to the subject, Dick Cheney, in a lot of ways, didn't care what you thought. He was going to do what he thought needed to be done.
Right. Well, I think when you look at somebody who overcame personal challenges, from his time at Yale when he didn't make it through and having to start all over into working on a Donald Rumsfeld, both in Congress and then going on to serve as the youngest chief of staff for a president in history, and all the other accolades that brought him to power and leading the country with President George W. Bush during a time after and during 9/11. Look, you don't get to those particular places without learning a lot and believing in yourself, number one, and trusting in your North Compass. And I think that that's what Dick Cheney involved in his patriotism and his leadership. And I think that that also attributes to the amount of humility that he had to actually have as well to earn the respect of his colleagues around him, and as well as the respect of the American people in order to keep his country safe during a time after 9/11.
Oh, I think you're exactly right there. And it's something that we have lost because we've lost any sense of nuance, I think, at this point politically in
Yeah,
America.
yeah,
And normally you don't equate the words nuance with the name Dick Cheney. Those two usually
yeah.
haven't been in the same sentence very often, but there's a reason for that. You have to be a
Right.
direct leader to get things accomplished. And he say what you want
Absolutely.
about anything else about him, that applied to him. He knew
Sure.
what he wanted to get done and got it done.
Yes, sir. And in this article, I talk about that. Well, I actually start out by saying, look, he was in fact, a controversial leader, but I didn't focus on the controversy of Dick Cheney during his life, and earlier on in my own political career and as a political science major at Jackson State University. I focused on his competence. I focused on his seriousness of purpose, and how prepared he was. And the fact that during a time where folks were getting away from Reaganism and getting away from conservative politics, this is someone who stood steadfast in that particular pursuit to make sure that we had limited government, but also a competent government and a government that could be trusted by the American people, and a government that was efficient and effective, and also pushing our free market principles forward as well too, and making sure that while we have limited government, while we have strong free market principles, but also we're keeping a strong national defense and making sure our country is actually safe, and moving those conservative values forward for the American people to follow and protect our pursuit of happiness.
Well, and we've made some great strides in the last year in this regard, but we need to get back more, I think, to that word that you've used several times now, steadfastness. We need to get back to that. We're all over the map, it
100%.
feels like most days.
In a highly political climate that we actually have in our country right now, and also in Mississippi, I think that those people who are running for office have to be focused on what that actual office does and how they can be effective instead of just kind of jumping all over the place and say I'm going to be involved in all these particular things. And on youngformississippi.com right now, I'm plugging our website for my Secretary of State campaign. We got some great updates in there. We got a great team. We got some great issues out there that people need to take a look at, that are very important for the Secretary of State's office. And that's exactly what I'm doing here, which is moving forward in that spirit of steadfastness, that we're making sure that public safety is a major part of this particular program, that we're making gang members in Mississippi public enemy number one, because I believe that a safe Mississippi is going to be a prosperous Mississippi. And we want to make sure that we increase law enforcement in all 82 counties. And those are the type of things that are going to help business. And those are the type of things that the Secretary of State's office can actually do as well. So that's part of our platform. It's part of what I believe in my political philosophy and vision, not only for myself, but for the state of Mississippi and the Secretary of State's office as well.
Do you think that, and this is the case whether you're talking about sports, you're talking about in the classroom and education, whatever, the most important thing is the fundamentals. Do you think that's what we need to be focusing on right now in terms of crime, in terms of
Yeah.
economy? The fundamentals, the basics?
Well, absolutely. These are the things that are going to drive our society forward. These are the things that are going to make sure that the people of Mississippi feel safe and secure in their own communities, whether we're talking about business and crime, or whether we're talking about securing our elections and making sure that we have strict voter ID laws, so we can make sure our elections are only involving people who are American citizens and residents of Mississippi. So that's why I'm for strong voter ID laws. I'm for citizenship requirements in our elections, and I'm also for early voting. But I want to make sure that it's secure, and I want to make sure that we're also making sure that those elections are available to working families here in Mississippi as well too. So that's part of being steadfast. That's part of making sure we're handling the business and keeping priorities number one. And I think that those are conservative values that are going to make Mississippi continue to be great, and making sure that our families are strong, that we're going on Christian values here in our state. And I think that what we have right now is an opportunity to do that in our state. And I think that the current leadership has been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, well, definitely. And you want to continue that work.
Well, 100%. And, back to the op-ed, I think that those are the things that they have to actually focus on during that particular time. And that's why, having a steady hand at the wheel, somebody who's going to make sure that we're going north and that we're not getting sidetracked by all issues that aren't going to be important to achieving our goals in our state and also our country.
We've been joined by Shuwaski Cheney. Young, Shuwaski Young.
Oh,
Sorry,
well, no.
honest mistake. That may be
Oh,
the
man.
nicest
It's all right, bro.
confusion over your
It's all right,
identity
bro.
ever. Yeah.
Oh, my
Shuwaski
goodness.
Young.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again real soon, okay?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you and yours as well. We continue on mornings right after this.